All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Last week was one for the history books, and it was one of the fastest 10% sell-offs we have ever witnessed, and literally every element came in more than anybody was expecting, starting with the tariff rate. That was mind-boggling higher than anyone could have imagined, myself included. Then when you even look at this SPY, I was reading the weekend notes, man, and I'm laughing because a lot of people thought the Trump put and everything would end at 5,200. By Friday, we were like right around 5,000 flat. So there's a lot riding on it. There was a lot coming into this weekend, even a lot of tension. People saying if this doesn't happen, there'll be permanent damage. They got to do this. They got to do that. And they were waiting for a lot this weekend, and all we saw was Trump and all of his homies. They dug their heels in. Even Bessent, Lutnick, they all were saying, look, oil went down. That's good for American people. And they were saying, we'll see where people negotiate. And they did not want other people to retaliate. There was some good news. Taiwan and Vietnam did announce that they're willing to go to zero. We'll see how that factors in. But now coming into tomorrow, you want to pay attention because people are talking about either a Black Monday situation for tomorrow or we get a bounce, because that's what usually happens when the VIX goes this high. So it's going to be another wild week. We also got the CPI. You even get another Michigan consumer sentiment on Friday. So even by the end of the week, I'm sure you're going to see a lot of excitement. So Chad, what I need from you, a thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open, youtube.com/The Stack Market. We will see you there in the morning, baby. And I have TLT plays. Run it.
Walking to the couch, it's the 2020 election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel like it's a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
Right off the bat, like I said, coming into tomorrow, the real vibe is literally Black Monday or a bounce. People were looking over the weekend and they were thinking that Trump was going to walk it back. They really just doubled down. We're going to see what happens. There's a couple of signs right now. People are going to safe havens. I believe the Japanese yen is up and there's some Asia trading and Bitcoin is going down. I'm sure by the time futures open up in a couple of hours, we'll be able to find those details, but everybody is looking for a walk back and good news, good trade negotiation. Otherwise, they're thinking this is going to get a lot worse. And now, if nobody's responding, we have already hit the low levels of where the market thought there would be a Trump put. They're going to keep trying to find that. So all that really matters, do we see more negativity tomorrow or do we get a little bit of relief, even if that relief would be temporary? And now the ironic part about all of it is that last week was the tariff announcement. This week, April 9th, that's when they come into an effect. So that's where people you've been hearing over the weekend, they're saying we're stopping shipments and all of that because it's a high rate now. People think it's going to be negotiated, but then starting April 9th, that's where all of the imports will start to get charged. So we'll see if that has any effect or if by April 9th we get any of those negotiations. But like I said here over the weekend, Taiwan and Cambodia, even Vietnam on Friday, they all announced that they are willing to go to zero. We'll see if that's good enough. But like we even talked about last week, is it everybody else in that average tariff rate? That came in extremely high and higher than everybody expected. That wasn't a good thing, but the other part of it is China. So remember, they retaliated on Friday. That's why we went a lot lower beyond just the reaction that we got from Liberation Day. So it really comes down to China and some of the bigger trading partners. We might get these smaller deals, but now with the damage done in the market and the way people are reacting, it kind of, if you're looking for any semblance of Trump 1.0 this time around, China is the big deal. Remember that. I think it's that this time around too. We're just not getting the same rhetoric of drama, and they're just going tit for tat at the numbers, and it is very aggressive like we have been going over on the watch list. And I should tell you that right now, this week, if you don't see any watch list on this channel, go to the live channel. That's where I will be putting them. And again, if you fall behind on one of them, it may be harder to catch up. Otherwise, there's a lot of these other factors that we have been seeing develop. So keep all of that in mind. But we'll see whether or not we get that bounce tomorrow. We'll see if there is any negotiations and if Trump or anybody on their team starts to change the narrative. But till then, we're going to go through the rest of the week, and I hate to break it to you, once again, the CPI isn't going to matter. I believe we get that on Wednesday and Thursday. Remember last week we had the non-farms. I think if anything, you will probably have the market react more to a policy pivot, whether that be Powell or Trump, or they're going to react to the consumer sentiment. So there's a much bigger risk right now of a global reset, and that's what I've been talking about here from last week. You know, we said don't react until you get the numbers, and then we'll see all of the details. And right when they unveiled everything, I was telling you, man, it doesn't matter about the combinations anymore, because this high of a tariff rate was mind-blowingly high, and it caught everybody off guard. That's what we are still going to be dealing with as we get into this next week. So be on the lookout now. I think a lot of damage has already been done. The good part is that a lot of this can go away quickly, but if it doesn't now, you are negotiating a very high stakes game, and you're watching a lot of people debate, this has to happen, this has to happen, this is big. It doesn't matter. Like I was saying last week, you could debate all the details of how they made the bomb and everything else. All you need to know is it's a bomb. At this point, you should quickly go to protect yourself and figure out what is going to be your plan of action, because if you come up with a plan and don't follow it through, it'll probably get more challenging. And that's what we were saying there. That's why we grabbed some of the plays, and I do have one play for you today that is still available. But when it's all said and done, though, now we have to see how this develops. Yes, if the negotiations come in lower, will that lead to a rally and a bounce? Yes, everybody is waiting for the pivot. That's why I'm saying this is a tantrum. The weird part about it is that it's a tantrum now mixed in with a lot of real worry because of what went on, but the market's going low enough. It's either we're going to get a pivot or we take this to the other end of things, and this is going to shift the economy, global economy, domestic economy, and then we're going to have to deal with these changes that everybody thinks would be permanent, and if they last longer and aren't, then yeah, that's going to be highly negative, and you will have to adjust for that. So this is how you should start thinking right now, but we'll see where it takes us from here. But the point is, you have a very, very big week ahead of you. And now here's the final point. I brought this up on the watch list last week, and I hope this helps you understand some of the fear out there. I'm telling you, this is a market tantrum, and the market is telling you how people are worried now. And like I'm saying here, is it full tantrum, and is all of this unwarranted? No, there is a good amount that is warranted if all of these numbers stay up. But leading into it, only reacting to consumer sentiment and all these other factors, those are very tantrum-like. And like I'm saying here, a lot of people, even coming into this weekend, this is where I was giggling, you probably heard some banks like JP Morgan, they're like, we think there's going to be a recession now. They forecast it. Well, they use stuff like PE multiples and 12-month forward EPS and then valuation of the SPY to make some of those determinations. So instantly that the SPY went so low on Friday in reaction to the China retaliation and all of those tariffs, that got people now, again, talking hard landing. Just a couple months ago, you brought up hard landing. They're like, haha, that's cute. But now that is kind of flipped. And here's the other thing, like I'm saying, you could debate all the details you want, but now that tariff rate is higher. I don't care how they came up to it, because if it stays there now, the last time you had this amount of tariffs and the instability in the dollar, and then even pair it up with a Fed mistake, things were not good. So yeah, you're at the early stage of that if this is really going to be the plan we are going to stick with. So like I'm saying, we're going to ride with it. Things could change quickly, but for now, I would not fade and underestimate what happened. Is half of it theatrics? Yes, but if these numbers and all of these rates stay this high, we're going to see a lot of volatility in the short term, especially as we try to figure all of this out. So keep your eyes out for that. But this is the thing I want you to understand, is that people are now talking recession and a hard landing, and there's a lot of things going on, but you're not supposed to be worried right now about inflation. You are worried about the trade policy, a changing of global trade forever, even in the short run, or literally a global reset of trade. That's why some people are saying, oh, tariffs are going to raise prices. I even have people asking me, do you still think tariffs won't raise prices? Yeah, I don't think they will, because I do think they will for a little bit, and it will fade. Why will it fade? Because there's two options. It either fades because the economy and things get used to it, and then they level it out through oil and rates, and naturally it's not going to be a long-lasting inflation like your real estate, or now, like I think the market shows you in this fear in sentiment, it's going to be demand destruction. So yeah, they could raise the prices and try to respond to tariffs these high, but tariff these high are only going to change global trade, probably lead to a destruction of demand, and whatever price increase is probably going to fade, because now we're going to get a real big slowdown in GDP and a lot of other things. So that's why I still believe it, because all roads lead to deflation, and that's what you got to realize. Don't be fooled by it. And that's why this is scary, because I'm not worried about inflation with all this. I don't think you should be. I don't think you should go and buy things, because, again, if we do get demand destruction, you're going to regret buying things at a higher price. And that's what I'm saying here. The real worry about this, and with tariff rates being this high, am I worried about Donald Trump's trade policies causing inflation? No, I'm worried about them slowing demand rapidly, causing demand destruction, leading to deflation. You get your hard landing, and then before you know it, what looked like 4 years ago only in China just happened here. So that is what I think Wall Street is starting to smell, signal out, or borderline react to, whether they want to admit it or not. And we were just talking about that last week. So keep that in mind. I really hope you guys see that. But now we'll see. Again, Wall Street is going to try to find that Powell or Trump put. It's already a lot lower. And the weird part about it is that the data isn't playing along. And that's the final part about all this. Remember, we got data. We've been getting CPI. We're going to get that. You got the non-farms and all of that. But if the SPY was this low and the jobs were already plummeting, you probably would be hearing about a Fed pivot. But with the data all up, it's hard for the Fed to really move and justify this to even some of their latest actions. And again, I don't think Trump is going to want to back down until he gets what he wants. So that's where this is going to get very interesting, but we'll see if market pain causes a pivot. Otherwise, you're probably going to have another wild week, Chattadonia. So I hope you're locked and loaded. I hope you're ready for it all. But now I got a good one for you. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got a play for you, and it should be expected. And it might be time. I know it sounds weird, but you only get this little window. So over the next couple of days, if this doesn't materialize, if the Trump put doesn't go lower, then there you go. But the only reason why I'm saying this is a play right now is because it is lagging so hardcore. I think we're going to see it already tomorrow with the Japanese yen up. And you can watch the Japanese yen, but the TLT, that's it, man. This is going to be it. I already have a lot of them, so there's my bias. I bought them all Friday right before the close. I started to get the vibe that somebody blew up, and you guys were sending me articles about there were some people who had to sell gold and a few record liquidations, and there were some weird things looking there. But even then, the only thing is that now you mean to tell me we just had a flash crash. You just had the VIX hit the level where the Fed can literally do an emergency cut, and now TLT is at the same price as right after the election. That's cap. So it's simple. That's why I bought a shit ton of TLT. Why? Because it is lagging so hard. My belief is somebody wants to keep this down, all the bond vigilantes or whatever. But yeah, TLT with this level, anytime the VIX has gone up, you've watched bond yields go. Oh man. Let me see if I can put the money sign VIX. Yeah. So like I'm saying there, usually the bonds are right there alongside it. This is a very, very odd time when it's all said and done, and I think we will eventually get a reaction, and if we don't, I think it's worth the gamble right now. What do I mean by that is quite simply you have the world kind of crumbling, potentially one of the highest tariffs of 100 years, potential global reset. You have the VIX already meeting the criteria of emergency cut, and you want to tell me that bonds have a higher yield than what a yield that caused a bank run? I'm capped. So yeah, I bought a lot of TLT, and I'm gonna watch this until we find out. The only way this doesn't hit is if we get like actual stagflation, but again, I'm more worried about deflation and kind of aggressive policy bringing things down, like oil and all those other, again, a bad recession, a bad prices coming down. And I think TLT eventually is going to have to respond. In the short term, though, this type of market volatility, this is very rare to see TLT this calm. So it's one or the other. We were just talking about bonds and the VIX, and that was last week on Friday, and we made a bag because we had the VIX, and the VIX ended up hitting, and now if the volatility is going to keep pushing the envelope, TLT is next. So we'll see, and it's lagging, and I like it for the short run, so I'm not going to tell you my plays. I'm just telling you my idea, so you don't blame me and get mad. Not a recommendation. God bless America. God bless the vets, and yeah, watch out for that. That is play number 1, and then play number 2, bank earnings. That's the other big part about this week. JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America, I believe, but don't make any mistake, is that we're going to be responding to a lot of volatility, and then in the middle of it, now, if anybody wants to start warning about recession, trade, demand destruction, maybe it shows up in the earnings. So banks will be interesting. That'll be this week, so a little less high profile, but then next week you're going to start getting the tech names, and then we'll really start to mix that into the volatility. So keep your eyes out for that, though, because that will be another round of catalyst. But that is play number 2, and then finally, play number 3, baby, gold. I did make a play on this on Friday. I used an option near the money. I wanted to trade the future, but I am worried about a blowout. If you guys don't understand that, it's like the SPY. This is the problem with shares and futures right now, is that if you believe the market's kind of like at an extreme, if you go down, that's a lot of drawdown to hold. That's why these options, if they've been hitting straddles, apparently straddles are very popular. You're welcome. But at the end of the day, you got to be careful, and especially with gold, that thing is at an all-time high. My physical gold, I bought it a lot cheaper. So if it comes down, I don't want to be holding that dollar for dollar. But if we keep getting this craziness, quite simply, gold should be expected to keep going up unless there's a liquidation or unless policy is going to pivot. So we'll see what that does here, especially if we get more volatility or not, and even watch it when volatility pulls back, see what kind of level it holds after some of these runs. So we'll see where that all leads. But other than that, I still got a couple of plays that we made on Friday. We're holding a lot of TLT. I made a couple of bounce plays. I did play some of the plays related to Vietnam. We were noticing that we got the Vietnam news early. Again, everything from what was it, Williams Sonoma and TSM, even Target started to move up. They were starting to catch a bid. Then Nike, ON in Vietnam. I still think those plays are going to be very important. So watch out for that. Again, Boeing, the UK, EU, they said they're going to respond this week. So that'll be a big one. A lot of people keep looking at NVIDIA, so I'm going to watch that. But like I'm saying, man, go look around anywhere. Go enter in any ticker right now, and you'll notice they all look insane except for TLT. So yeah, that's going to be the one I focus on, baby. Let's take it home. But Chattadonia, I hope you're ready for all of it. The best thing you could do is just be there live. Be wise, be smart in your long term, baby. You should be shopping, already acting if you have a lot of cash. But I love you. God bless all of you. I'll see you in the morning. And that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember courageousness. You better control the budget. Don't think, I'm courageous, but I don't control my budget. No. Control the budget, but be courageous, okay? That's it. The willingness to gain and lose life all at the same time. Oh, it's beautiful, bro. Life is beautiful. You're beautiful, baby. And remember, future. It's a cycle. Good, bad, better, worse, better, worse. Just watch the feel. I love you. I'll see you in the morning, baby. And horn.